Welcome to Book Talks, the show that speaks to education, health, entrepreneurship, and so much more.
Welcome, Zanzi, to yet another episode of Livestock. I'm your new host, Batlali Balamatlatitabani, and today in studio we have Dr. Lerato. Dr. Lerato, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Lerato, what kind of work do you do at the Agricultural Research Council, and who are you?
Okay, so basically, I am Lerato Matsaunyane from Mahikeng. I am an employee of the Agricultural Research Council, and at the Agricultural Research Council, I'm a research team manager, and the division that I head is farmer support, commercialization, and enterprise development.
There may be some of our viewers who don't know what the Research Council does. Can you briefly explain to us, Jorge, what is it?
So the Agricultural Research Council was established in 1992, and we do anything and everything pertaining to the agricultural sector. We have various campuses that are spread throughout the South Africa that deal with agriculture. So our work pertains to either plant or animal research. We have campuses in Pretoria where we currently are, and in Pretoria we have a campus that deals with vegetable, industrial, and medicinal plants. We have a campus that deals with plant health. We also have a campus that deals with soil, climate, and water issues, as well as agricultural engineering. And lastly, we have a campus still in Pretoria that deals with animal nutrition, animal breeding, as well as animal health. These campuses are not only in Pretoria. We have campuses in Stellenbosch that deal with deciduous fruit. We have campuses that are in Nelspruit that deal with tropical and subtropical crops. We have two campuses in Bethlehem as well as in Potchefstroom that deal with grain crops. And this is just the gist of what the Agricultural Research Council is about. It is pertaining to research and development throughout South Africa, looking at what is important to the agricultural sector.
I can only imagine that since you guys have been established for 32 years, there's so many challenges that you guys face. What are the challenges that you guys face?
Um, I think one of the big challenges that we face as the Agricultural Research Council is our reach. I have a feeling, personal feeling, that we are not reaching as many people within South Africa as we possibly could because of the limited capacity that we have. If I can just share a backstory, in the past 2 weeks, starting from the 15th of April, there was a team from the Agricultural Research Council that traveled to the Eastern Cape. And the gist of our visit to the Eastern Cape was to have a food security drive using the Agricultural Research Council technologies. And we were only able to tackle the challenges that were in areas such as Flagstaff, Lusikisiki, and Port St. John's, and was a very small team. And we were only able to go to primary schools and early childhood development centers, in total about 18. So looking at the impact that we had in these 2 weeks, I feel as the Agricultural Research Council, one of our big challenges is our reach and the ability to reach as many people as possible within South Africa.
So then how do you guys work with researchers and farmers? Like le berekisana yang le bone?
So, in the Agricultural Research Council, we work on collaborations. So, our collaborations are with science councils. We collaborate with universities. We also collaborate with commodity groups. So, in terms of the collaboration, it's basically on the research as well as your technology transfer sphere. So we are not a standalone institution. We collaborate, and the gist of our work is stemming from collaboration.
Okay, that's great. Ka itse gore you guys have a program e ba reng ke kgonafatso ya dikgomo animal improvement scheme. What are the successes of such schemes? And if le na le di-scheme tse ding, can you just enlighten us and tell us more?
Okay, so kind of as dikgomo, in short, KYD, it's just that we work on improving those that are working with livestock. So the challenge that we've realized is that you have livestock farmers who do not take care of their livestock in such a way that the livestock can be a cash crop, inverted commas, for them. So what kind of Azadu Khomo does is that it teaches the farmers on how to take care of their livestock. It also teaches them on breeding, because a lot of people assume that so long as you've got cows, that's good, whether it's a mix or whether it's your dairy cattle versus your beef, whether you mix it, it's fine. But with Kanofatswedu Khomo, it actually trains our farmers on being proper livestock farmers, starting from the breeding, going on to animal nutrition, including animal health, because it's very important, especially with the sudden or the recent heightened existence of foot and mouth disease. It's important that we teach our farmers on how to properly take care of their livestock and what to do in instances whereby there's an outbreak of foot and mouth disease. Now, in terms of the success of the KYD program, we have produced a lot of stud breeders in South Africa, and we have awards at the ARC that we hold annually, and every single year we have growing number of entrants into the program, and we have a very good caliber of trainees as well as farmers that graduate from this program.
So then, since taking from the fact that most people, like you guys, are trying to develop cows and with the diseases, how important is science based on helping to heal those cows and those animals? How important is it?
So there's always a big debate on science versus indigenous knowledge. And the beauty of the work that we do, we don't disregard indigenous knowledge, but we come from an angle of research to make sure that we assist the farmers in them being more productive in their different enterprises. In terms of for example, one of the things that has been introduced is the chipping system, whereby there's a high rate of livestock theft. So with the introduction of the chipping system and the introduction of genetic barcoding, it makes it easy when there's livestock theft that a person can identify that, oh, those 100 that were identified, because you have that background in terms of I've got a tracking system and also got the genetics of my livestock.
Ah, that's great. That's great. Like we don't know much about these things, right? And bring it back. Le berekisana lang le the youth. And are there any programs that you guys have that involves the youth?
Okay, so in primary school, my primary school, I don't want to say how long ago it was. The motto of our school was Fatloga o Fatlose, meaning I teach you so that you can teach others. So at the Agricultural Research Council, this is one of the big things that we focus on. We believe in mentorship because within the agricultural sector, it's not a lot of us that are readily exposed to the sector. So it's not that easy for you to have to find interest in the agricultural sector. So for young people, we have what we call the Professional Development Program at the ARC, where we take young people. Obviously, they have to apply for postgraduate studies, starting at your master's level to your PhD. We align you with, or you partner you with a mentor who will journey with you for your postgraduate study. But the beauty of it is that you are not only doing your postgraduate study, but you are in the agricultural sector at the ARC. In addition, we also host experiential training students from your universities who are interested in getting part of their qualification, obviously, because they need that experiential training to get their qualification. And we also have internships because you would find somebody that did something in varsity, but they're not sure of how far they can take it. So when you come to the Agricultural Research Council, we'll be able to tell you, okay, this is what is available to you. This is the platter. So you get to choose, but we move you between the different divisions so that you can see where you find your interest. And that's one of the ways that we engage with young people. And not just that, we also do schools. This is one of my passions. We go to high schools. Agricultural science, what has happened is that it's a +1 subject. So it's a subject that's taken because we want you to pass. So I think we started in 2016. We went as far as in the northwest to places like Khokojane and Kokole. driving on gravel for like 2-3 hours to get to the school, and you get to the school and you find 8 students, but then the students don't have access to internet. They don't know what else is out there in terms of agriculture. So that's also one of the drives that we're trying to push. Trying to get partnership with the Department of Basic Education so that we can reach those schools, so that the kids can know that this is also what's available within the agricultural sector.
Okay, since we've been celebrating 30 years of freedom in South Africa, what are the highlights of the Agricultural Research Council?
I think there's a whole lot of highlights from the Agricultural Research Council, and just top of my head, which I think it's one of the things that we normally underplay. From the example that I gave you, the professional development program, our CEO, current CEO, Dr. Lita Maginga, is a product of the professional development program from the ARC. And I too am a product of the professional development program. Fortunately for me, my master's PhD through the ARC, funded by the ARC, trained at the ARC. I became a researcher, and now I'm a research team manager at the ARC. And that goes to show that this program that was started a long time ago, it has impact. And in the past 30 years, I can proudly say in the 30 years, the ARC has produced good quality people like myself.
A great quality of people. So then how can stakeholders and members of the public get a hold of the Agricultural Research Council?
Um, Fortunately, in the past 30 years, we've also made an effort to keep up with the times. So we are available on social media platforms, your Facebook, your X, and Instagram, Agricultural Research Council or ARC South Africa. We also have a website which has a vast amount of information, www.arc.agri.za. So those that are interested can go there, and there's also links to the different research groups and the different research localities. You might find me there as well if you're interested in having a conversation with me.
So then when people want to contact you, do they have to go through, when I personally, since you've opened up and said that they can contact you, do they go directly to your socials? Do they write an email to your organization and they contact you?
They can use any platform. Whichever platform they choose, they can locate me on any of the ARC social platforms. The those that man the social platforms will relay the message to me.
Okay. Any messages to South Africans parting the shot of 30 years of freedom?
Um, for to South Africa, you cannot go a day without eating. And it's very important to realize that when we're talking about food security, it's about what goes into your stomach. Not just that, it's about the content that goes into your stomach, the nutritional part of it. So the message to South Africa in the 30 years that we are celebrating of democracy is just rethink food security, because times are a bit tough now. They will pass. Times are a bit tough now, but let's now start looking at household food security before we move on to the next trend, because we have the potential of doing food gardens, and that's a basic minimal that you can do for yourself to ensure food and nutrition security for your household. So to South Africans, it might seem tough, but you've got the gold in your backyard. Just utilize it, and the only way to get it right, implement agricultural practices in your household.
So then, not that I want to continue, but then it's so interesting when you said that South African can start, like the way Naketa Lohanya, they can start their own farms, go backyard. What are the recommendations, and what would be the easiest crops that they could start working with? Like gore ba nne motivated, because people lose motivation. What are those crops that they could be beginner friendly, so to say, to them, and how do you recommend they start and they grow?
So the first point of entry is your seasonal vegetables. So when you talk about seasonal vegetables, we're in the winter season now. So you're looking at your cabbage, your spinach, carrots, beetroot, onion. So first look at the season. And in a lot of instances on Google as well, it will tell you the perfect vegetables to grow at a certain time. And it will also show you this is the correct planting time, and this is when you'd harvest. So my first thing is look at the season and go for the normal commercially viable vegetables. Secondly, you'd find instances whereby, like in Mafikeng where I'm from, there are some areas where it's so rocky that it's a headache. But then that's what I'm saying, at the Agricultural Research Council, we work on technology. So we have what we call the bag system, where meal pap 12 kg after eating, you take soil and you poke holes, you put your seedlings, you have a nice bouquet of vegetables, whether it's spinach, carrots, etc. So also do your research in terms of your soil. Is it okay to do vegetable production? If it's not, there's also other alternatives that you can look into. I like giving examples. So in last year, November, we were again in the Eastern Cape because of the situation in the Eastern Cape, the crisis in terms of malnutrition and food insecurity. So we were in the Eastern Cape in November last year. We planted with 30 households in those three areas, Flagstaff, Lusikisiki, and Port St. John's. We planted orange flash sweet potato. So it's a sweet potato, inside it's orange. It looks like butternut.
Yeah.
So we planted that. We also taught the households. We didn't do farmers, it was households. We also taught the household on how to process that sweet potato. You can make soup, juice, puree, donuts, chips, bread, biscuits, and bread, etc. So we spent 2 weeks training them on that. And when we went back to the Eastern Cape this time around, which is the past 2 weeks, because of the situation we found ourselves in, we ran out of sweet potatoes for the training. And we called them up. We need sweet potatoes. We got about 600 kilograms from the people we trained last time. So when you do your vegetable garden, don't think only about eating. Think about the prospects of maybe you grow tomatoes and you can sell maybe paketenyana tamatika 10 rand, which will be cheaper than ko dishopong. So also think about the business aspect of it, but think sustainably, because you don't want to be a one hit wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, feletswe. Just plan. And
Yeah.
this is where we also come into play, in that we also give you that guidance that, think big. In your small plotonyana, yeah, less than half a hectare, think big. We can assist you with that, with the marketing, with how to plan, etc.
But then, do you think climate change like yeah affect? Obviously, the climate is going badly, mo lefatsheng. And how do you think South Africa is ready to assist those macro farmers? Like, how do they beat these emissions? Or like ba kgone ho planta pila? Does the government, or does not even say the government instance, but then how do you guys educate people on how to deal with climate change?
So the issue of climate change is real. It's not a maybe. It is not. It will come. You can see it now with the weather pattern as it is. And I mean, like for example, maize farmers had a challenge in that there was not sufficient rain for the past season. So it's real. So it becomes easier to teach people on the impact of climate change. So the beauty of the Agricultural Research Council is that we have been doing research on how to mitigate the impact of climate change. Like for example, there are areas where water is not sufficient. So we have the breeding program that looks at plants that will be sustainable even if there's limited water available. We have even then the livestock sector, where you have those cattle that are resilient to drought. So those are part of the research and development that we're doing to assist South Africans. But we also come in on the aspect of just basic teaching, that for example, for what you just asked me now with your food garden, because we have a limitation of water, metsi a dikotlolo ska tsholla, bear something mo tlase mole a tsene mo gardening, because ebile a na le ba re keng dishwashing liquid. Dishwashing liquid is a pesticide, a natural pesticide. So wa fetsa go tlhatswa fela o tsenya ka mo wa nosetsa, okay, re ska toilet. A go tlhapa, wa tsaya lone,
Eh.
o tshela ka mo wa nosetsa, meaning that you don't have to tap into a resources that is
yeah.
very scarce at this point in time, which is water. So we do have bits and pieces of information that we disseminate whilst we're doing the bigger type of research aiming at mitigation of the effects of climate change.
Quite inspiring because it's recycling needs.
Recycling needs.
No, it's very interesting. Dr. Lerato, ke a leboga. Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Zanzi, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Livestock. It's a new favorite host, but see you next week. Signing out.